I'm at Madison, Wisconsin at the state capitol building. It was said to have been finished actually 1917, but took quite a few years before that, from 1908 to 1917. The amazing thing about this is you can be the judge if that's when you think it was built. You just have to remember the times, but I want to show you close up on this building, the most amazing timeless structure and architecture and materials that would be almost impossible to get put in place at that time. But again, you be the judge of that. Let's take a look at this close up. So there's a number of entrances here, north, south, east, and west. I'm on the east entrance here, and there's stairs that go up. But what I'm going to do is give you a look from the lower portion, and we'll explore all of this. But when you go in underneath the steps, you're going to see this dome from a vantage point of the lowest in this building, which is extremely impressive. So we're going to go into these doors. And these doors are old wooden doors that are really amazing in themselves. And once you enter, you can see the perfect symmetry of everything. This is a circle rotunda, and everything is marble and seemingly brass. Marble floors, walls, and many times you go in large new buildings and they have a lot of the seemingly same building materials, but you'll find that in actuality they are just facades put on. There's nothing in here that's a facade. These are all amazing marble, just solid structure. So I want you to see this dome from this vantage point. When we come into the main rotunda, you will see this rivals any dome, any room, any space, anywhere, in Italy, in Europe, any place. And you'll notice at the top, the dome has marble columns all the way around it. To get those in place at any time with any crane or anything modern, with the weight of those, and put those perfectly in place, centered perfectly, on standing straight up and down and perfectly spaced, would be just an incredible feat at any time, much less even get them made at any time. But we're talking about around 1910 to 1915 to have these put in place. The detail of everything is incredible. The colors, that looks to be white marble on those, but as we come down, you'll see the lines and the individual artwork. As we go around, the spacing of everything, you know, a modern contractor, you'd be lucky to get everything leveled and a nail not broken off on something, but this is exquisite and perfect, like a piece of jewelry in every respect, And once again, on this building, just like around the world, in every area, we have these marble hand railings, which in the Bible is called a parapet, and is in the law of God to put on top of roofs to keep someone from falling over and bringing the death of that person upon the house. And so it was in the law of God. They're on all these buildings, but those structures that are holding up the railing are marble, solid marble, and perfectly constructed so they match each one. It's like you would need a fabricator with a laser beam, kind of like what's called computer-aided design, which they do with teeth now. They'll make a tooth, but they're very high tech. That's the precision to which those are made. Did that exist at some time in the past? Is it hand carved? There'd be some alterations. These are exactly perfect and matching solid marble, as are the railings above. And I'm going to go up to the second floor where you'll be able to see some of these things up close. But I wanted to give you an idea what takes place, or what is right here underneath that dome, which is way up there. Many stories. And it's discussed that these areas were actually energetic and had a purpose, which would have been long since removed if that was the case. You can see the floor is actually marble. Really not a design or a major design in this floor like in some of the other videos I've made. But I'm going to take you upstairs now. We're going to take a look at this from the second floor. You can see that on this floor, each entrance is symmetrical to the center. And perfectly spaced. So they label them west. This is west. They label the street. As we come to the stairways, we have marble stairs. This railing is marble, and just one section would weigh many thousands of pounds. And the marble supports are all, again, like I said, carved exactly or nearly exactly, but from different pieces of marble, so they don't match exactly. They're not fabricated in that way. Looks to be completely original marble, just perfectly done. And so the weight here, I would imagine that to be, each one of them would be at least 100 pounds. 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're talking 700, and then this would probably be about 1,000 pounds or close to it. And so you're talking about between just one section of these being basically a ton, at least. And it just keeps going and going and going, and we're not even to the pillars yet, the columns. You see these are perfectly done, left and right. And let's go over and look at that center rotunda area from here. Now over to the side, there is another stairway that's really beautifully done. This ironwork, it's a little hard to see in here. The lights are not that bright, but you can see that ironwork, you can see, is really beautiful, along with the carved wood on the banister that goes up. So just another exquisite staircase there. But as we walk through on these marble floors, marble walls, just a fortress of construction, and into the center rotunda on the second floor, you can see so much more here. Up above, you see these columns are green marble right here, and just tons and tons and tons of it, all perfectly done, just like the one next to it. No aberrations, no differentiations between the two in size, but naturally in the marble itself, yes. And they go up, and on top, the cap is perfectly constructed and done. Perfectly symmetrical in the middle. And then above that, the artwork on each and every piece, again, is detailed like a finely made quilt or a piece of jewelry. And then there's murals, and then it just continues on. Where what I was going to say, masonry work, it's just more detailed than even that. It's like a fine watchmaker. And as we come over here to the center, I wanted you to see just one of these sections of marble from here to here, and that width is going to be hundreds and hundreds of pounds. That's just pure marble. And there'll be little cracks and things like that in there, but then down below are the marble pieces that are put in. And you can see the intense detail even on those. They would be very difficult to carry. One, they look like chess pieces, but they completely resemble and are similar to all the other capital style buildings, which are actually an old world construction that's done all over the world in this way. And in other videos I've talked about the fact that these are set down as construction in the Bible from the laws of God, and that the Solomon's temple construction, which was said to have been the greatest of anywhere, that kings, queens would come from all over the world just to see what they had heard about. And this seems to be of that. And this would be the construction that God set down, the construction of God that would be really divinely inspired, and the nature of the construction would have had to at least had divine knowledge. These measurements are perfect. Everything that's done, if you look, you can see that everything is spaced exact and perfect. And to have that done, just the measurement of the circle has to be exactly perfect all the way around, because there's not a section from here to here that is a little shorter or a little bit longer. It's exactly measured, perfectly done, just like the measurements that God would set down. They would be divinely done. And so that's the amazing thing to look at in the construction of these buildings, is who really built them? How long have they been here? Are they divinely done, divinely inspired? And to contemplate that notion, you can go to scripture in the Bible that's proven through many things, but this is a very interesting thing, that you can go in there and just look at what it says in regards to that, if that could be possible, that it could have been constructed by God, if this was like a very old world construction that lasted, or if in fact the kingdom that's prophesied to take place in the Bible, that Christians all over the world think is a future kingdom and is coming, is it possible that that could have already happened? Is it possible that the 1,000-year millennium reign of Jesus Christ on earth with his saints actually already happened? And how could that be possible if that were the case? And you start from square one in scripture and you find that he said he was coming quickly, very quickly. He said, behold, there be some standing here that will not taste of death until they see me coming in his kingdom. And he said in his kingdom with his saints to establish that. And that's what they were all waiting for. Quickly is not really 2,000 years, which is where we supposedly are, although the study of adding and changing the timeline of that 1,000 years is another aspect that has been talked about by many, and really all but, I would say all but really proven to many that there was 1,000 years added, or a large amount of time added. We know that we're in a different calendar than used to be anyway, because there has to be days added to the calendar. There's a leap year and those things, so it's not exact, whereas God's timetable was exact. And so contemplating these buildings, this would be the truth set in stone and set down to be evidence and witness of God's kingdom and construction. And that's why it's interesting to look at these things with that lens and through that perspective. Because when you do, once you start to see some truth that shines through, it opens the door to other truths with respect to that. So that's really the reasons that I show these things, is because I'm looking for the truth in these matters. And it's very easy to see what's not true, and sometimes harder to see what is true. And all those things will point to truths. So when you look at the construction of these buildings, everything from the murals and the amazing columns put in place way up there at a time when people were said to not even know how to get around other than with horses and buggies and wagons. The two don't line up, the two don't mesh together. And so we start looking at other possibilities. I wanted you to be able to do that with this. I'm going to show you some more things about this building that are really amazing, and keep all those things in mind and just consider them. Keep an open mind with the possibilities of what actually happened. Something obviously built this, but when you look through at the so-called pictures of construction and those type of things, they're either usually blurry or they're altered, or things just, they're just not good. And at that time, the cameras would take pictures perfectly with high resolution. They had what's called tintype photography at that time. And so that tintype photography is high def. And usually there's a lot that's blurred out or black or that you can't see, or the skies are turned white and so on. So that's a little bit about that. But looking in this perfect construction each way, we're going to go into another area now, up another level, and take a look at that. And we'll go from the north gallery, and notice that the staircases just continue on perfectly. On each four corners or four sides of the rotunda building, part of the building. And here we go up another perfectly constructed, ultra heavy staircase with marble on marble on marble. Just getting that marble into place and having it cut and done perfectly. Seems as if it took a computer-aided machine to be able to pull that off. Here currently in the Wisconsin state capitol is what's called the hearing room. And each end has different purposes. Each four corners will have different rooms for different purposes, but they're all set in an exact location as this was built. The floor here having brass around darkened glass. And as we come to this floor on the rotunda, notice this is solid brass. And just to show you the solidity of it, it's not like something you're going to get at Target, that's for sure. And the marble, again, same marble, incredible, perfect spacing with marble on top of it. And when I see a crack like that, I say to myself, how long would it have taken to get that crack? Would they have put it in place with that crack? Because we're only talking about 100 years ago, and 60 years ago, most of us know somebody well older than 60. It wasn't that long ago, so we're only talking 2 times that. But yet there'll be things in a building like this that look hundreds and hundreds of years old or longer. because it would have taken a while to get a crack. Notice those type of things when you walk in buildings, cracks in floors and the marble. They probably didn't put that in, and the next week it settled and cracked. So there's those things. We're looking for clues in everything. This is just a grand view of this area. And really, when there's this much all in one place, you can really only look at certain areas to dissect. Like, for instance, up above, notice each piece that's put down. Those are metal. And so they're all perfectly done. In the arch that has to be perfectly done. And at a time when there really weren't cars, barely power tools, or anything of the sort. Just an unbelievable sight to ponder how these things were actually done and who actually built them, and were they built by servants of God, or were they built by primitive horse and wagon people that somehow got this done with financing from who knows who or where. We never hear about that, or really how any of this was done and put in place from 1908 to 1917. Tell me what you think in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video.